Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning, and thank you for the very warm welcome. But no, it's always a pleasure to be back here in Hollywood. Just before coming here, I was just thinking how much I enjoy the Hollywood Center. The subject, I'll get straight down to it, is Om. Perhaps the most well-known mantra in the whole world. It's a tradition, it's a mantra from the Vedic tradition, but expanding beyond the Vedic tradition, it's a mantra which pervades the diverse traditions of Hinduism. It's a mantra which is very important in Buddhism. For example, in Tibetan Buddhism, Om Mani Padme Hung, so the most famous mantra there's Om there. It's a mantra which is important in Jainism. It's a mantra which is important in Sikhism. In fact, in Sikhism, the name for the absolute, they say Ik Onkar, the one Om. So across all the Indic traditions, you find the importance of Om. Not only that, now it has become a kind of symbol for spirituality worldwide. I remember several years back there was a Time magazine cover story on meditation, and on the cover was Om. So it sort of stands for spirituality worldwide, Om. Now, today we will go to the heart of the matter. Something that is so widespread obviously has multiple interpretations across different traditions. But what does it mean at its core, its essential meaning? We'll go straight to the highest source of Om. In the Vedic tradition, in the Upanishads, we'll go to the Mandukya Upanishad, which is an Upanishad entirely about Om. And there we shall see what it means. Because otherwise so many interpretations have been given. Om means, the three deities in Hinduism, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, and so many other interpretations have been given. But what is the essential meaning of Om? And how does it apply to our lives? How can we transform our spiritual practice and gain enlightenment with the help of Om? So this is the subject. And I have about 40 minutes to enlightenment. All right. Vedanta, we know, is based on the Upanishads. The root texts of Vedanta are the Upanishads. In one of the Upanishads themselves, in Muktika Upanishad, we find a list of 108 Upanishads. But more commonly, Vedanta is based on about 11 of these Upanishads, on which the great Acharyas, the great masters of Vedanta, wrote extensive commentaries, especially Shankaracharya. Among these so-called major Upanishads, Mandukya Upanishad has a special place. First of all, it is the smallest. Some of those Upanishads can be bulky, old texts, but Mandukya Upanishad is really small. Only 12 mantras. Just 12 mantras and that's it. It can fit in one A4 sized page. In Bengali, there is a term, dhani lanka. So Bengalis here know what it means. It means a chili, which is a very small chili, but it's really, really hot. So the Mandukya Upanishad is like that. It's small, but it's really, really hot. In fact, there's a cute story about Hanuman, who goes to Ramachandra and asks, how do I attain enlightenment? And Sri Rama tells him, Mandukyam ekameva alam mumukshunam vimuktaye. The Mandukya Upanishad by itself is sufficient to grant illumination, enlightenment, freedom to those who seek freedom. So this comes from Sri Rama himself. And suppose you say, I study the Mandukya and I try to understand it and get it, and I don't get enlightenment, then what? And then Sri Ramachandra gives a list of 108 Upanishads. You have to go through all of those. So it's better that we get enlightenment. We don't have time these days for 108 Upanishads. The Mandukya Upanishad, like all other Upanishads, the central message is very simple. The central message, the takeaway from Vedanta is so simple, it's one sentence. That thou art, you are Brahman, the absolute God, divinity, nirvana, moksha, whatever you call it, whatever we are seeking, that's our real nature. That's what we are. That's the essential teaching of all the Upanishads. And the Mandukya is no exception. One of the great, the profound Mahavakyas, the so-called great sentences, these are basically identity sentences which express the identity between you, the individual being, and Brahman, the absolute. So the most famous of them is Tattvamasi, that thou art. Another one is Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Another one is Prajnanam Brahma, the awareness that we feel right now. That itself is the absolute, properly understood. And in the Mandukya we find the fourth of these great sentences, Mahavakyas. Ayam Atma Brahma, which means this very self is the absolute. On the face of it, these statements do not make sense. Because how can I, this person, be the absolute? How can I be immortal? Obviously this person is mortal, it's born, it's going to die. How can I be all-pervading? I don't even pervade this stage. So how can I be eternal? And so on. So these statements have to be understood, assimilated, realized, and that is the whole purpose of Vedanta. In the Mandukya you find Ayam Atma Brahma, this very self is Brahman. So up to this is what Mandukya has in common with everything else, on all the other Upanishads. But from now on, after this, Mandukya takes off on its own peculiar, unique teaching. Very direct, very powerful, very sharp. Or as in New York, they'll say, the crazy begins at this point. The Mandukya Upanishad says, how do you realize that? It says, consider yourself. Soyam Atma Chatushpat. This very self, you have 4 dimensions, 4 aspects. What are those 4 aspects? The waker, you in the waking state. The dreamer, you in your dream state. And the deep sleeper, you when you are in deep sleep. These are the 3. Waker, first. Dreamer, second. Deep sleeper, third. And the 4th, which the Mandukya, it just calls it the 4th. And the great Gaudapada, who was Shankaracharya's teacher's teacher, who wrote a commentary on the Mandukya in verses called Karika, Mandukya Karika, who wrote 215 verses on those 12 mantras. He calls it the Turiya, and that name has stuck. So the Turiya, for example, we have a great Swami, Turiyananda. The Turiya is a word in India for the absolute. But many people do not know. It simply means the 4th. And you say, 4th what? This 4th, it refers to the Mandukya. The first is the waker, the second is the dreamer, third is the deep sleeper. Not other people, you, I, when we are awake right now, hopefully, and when we are dreaming, and when we are in deep sleep, I, myself, you, yourself. And the Mandukya says, there is a 4th aspect to you, which is the whole point of the teaching. This 4th is the real you, this is the absolute, this is what we are seeking. So this 4th is what the Mandukya is all about. This Turiya is what the Mandukya is all about. Soyam Atma Chatushpat. This very self, you have 4 aspects, and the first 3 aspects are known to you, and the 4th one is what the Mandukya wants to teach. Notice something immediately. This absolute which the Mandukya wants to teach us, show us, is present now. It's not, later, after death. It's present here. Right now, right here. Not in some heaven which you are supposed to go someplace maybe later. Someplace else. Not someplace else. Not some time, some other time. It's now and it's here. This is the remarkable power of the Mandukya. It's not talking about some future time. It's not talking about some other place. Here and now. It's not talking about the absolute God as an other with a capital O. It's talking about the absolute God as you yourself. So right here, right now, and none other than the you, the real you. The only problem is to discover the real you, to discover the real I. Who am I? What am I really? Because right now, the whole problem gets stuck here. If I am Brahman, if I am the absolute, immediately the question comes in our minds, first of all, it's cool that you would say so. It's nice that you would think so highly of me. But where is this ultimate reality, Brahman, God? I don't feel very God-like, Brahman-like, or absolute. I don't feel that at all. If I am that right here, right now, I should feel it. The dualistic religions which speak about God and the ultimate reality in some distant place, some distant time, they are safe in a certain way. Because if you ask them, where is God? Oh, God is in heaven. Why can't I see God? Because God is in heaven. That's why you can't see God. When can I meet God? After death. And after that, you can't come back and catch me anymore. So I'm safe either way. You can't see God now because God is there after death. You see this big billboard sometimes. Heaven is a place. Call 855 for the truth. But that's the basic thing about all dualistic religions. It is postponed to a different time. It is displaced to a different place. And God is not you or anywhere, nothing available to you right now. It's an other. That's true as far as it goes. But Mandukya is much, much more radical. It is you now and here. But then the problem arises, then why don't I feel it? If it is I and now and here, why don't I have access to it? The answer is because we have a fundamental misconception about what we are. It is available right now. You don't notice it. One of the teachers used to say in a class, you are here, but you do not hear. H-E-R-E and H-E-A-R. You're here, but you do not hear. It's like that. It's present right now, constantly available to us. If we were to be enlightened, what would be our experience? You would think that, I was unenlightened and I did not know. Now I have realized my true nature. I was a living, a limited sentient being, a jiva. Now I am Brahman after enlightenment. No, that will not be our experience. Our experience will be, I was this all along and I never knew it. Now I know it. I was this all along, I never saw it. Now I see it. This will be our experience upon enlightenment. So how do we do that? And the Mandukya says, this is the method. The method of the analysis of the three states: waking, dreaming, deep sleep. These experiences are available to us every day. Day in and day out, we are having these experiences. We don't pay any attention to it. Notice that the Mandukya does not expect that you will attain some extraordinary mystic experiences, this samadhi or that kind of mystical trance, and then you will be enlightened. You have to wait for that kind of experience. No, the Mandukya says the experience which is needed for enlightenment, you already have it. Really, what experience is that? The experience of waking, the experience of dreaming, the experience of deep sleep. This is enough. Now what the Mandukya will do is, with the experience available to you, with the data available to us, the Mandukya will lead us step by step to our real nature, the fourth. There was a book written recently by Professor Evan Thompson, who is a professor of philosophy in the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. The name of the book is Waking, Dreaming, Being. And it's an investigation into consciousness from the Vedantic perspective and also the Buddhistic perspective, and relating it to modern consciousness studies. So a very interesting book. But it begins with a tremendous assertion, which even I, as a Vedantin, I wouldn't go so far. But he begins with this quote from another philosopher. He begins with this quote, that consciousness studies did not start 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It started 5,000 years ago in the Upanishads. And then he goes on to say, what a remarkable claim, what a remarkable assertion. He says, we date our history with, BC and AD. We should rather date our history with before Upanishads and after Upanishads. So incredible is the significance of these texts. So what is this incredible significance of the texts? Very quickly, because this is not our subject. I haven't started yet. Our subject is Om, but I'll come to that. The Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, is divided into two parts. The first part shows us an investigation into the self with the four: waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, and the real self, the fourth. That's the first part of the Upanishad. The second part of the Upanishad is Om. It's all about Om. But before we get to the second part, a quick overview of the first part. What it says is, look at yourself right now. Here you are, a sentient being with a mind and a body and the sense organs, and you can see the world, you can hear, you can smell, you can touch, you can taste. So you, using your sense organs, we contact a physical world out there. This is called the waker and the waker's world. And then in time we fall asleep and perchance to dream. We dream all in the mind. Later on when we wake up, we realize it was all in the mind. But in the mind, again we have a person in the mind with sense organs and sensing a world of dreams, no doubt. And that experience we have in the dream. And then dream cease and we slip into deep sleep. We do not experience an external world with sense organs. We do not dream dreams with the mind. All of it ceases into the uniform darkness of deep sleep. Is it all wiped out? Of course not. We know it's not wiped out. It's all there because next morning we wake up and everything is back again. The same people are back. The same, unfortunately, problems are also back. Physical problems, monetary problems, relationship problems, they're all back. Everything is there. Your dog or your cat is there, and the food in the refrigerator is there, and your car is there parked outside. Everything is there. So it's all there in deep sleep, but just covered over with ignorance. It's all a mass of not knowingness. Deep sleep is not an absence of experience. It's an experience of absence, an experience of blankness. So these three states come and go, and the Upanishad says, all of them come and go in one consciousness. It is that one consciousness which appears now as you, the experiencer, and the world that you experience. It is that one consciousness which appears in your dreams as you, the person in the dream, and the world of your dreams. It is that one consciousness in which the darkness of deep sleep is experienced. And it is again in that one consciousness, it again appears as subject and object in the waker's subject and the waker's object, objective universe. As Vivekananda said in his poem, Song of the Sannyasin, one alone exists. It appears as nature, soul. One alone exists. It appears as nature, soul. What is the one? The unique feature of the Mandukya is, it says that the one is the fourth. It's your real nature, the fourth beyond the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper. The waker's universe, the Mandukya calls it the gross universe. Gross not in the sense we use it in America, like awful. Not in that sense. It can be awful, but here it means gross, it means physical, in the sense of physical. Here is a physical universe, a gross universe. We experience it through a physical body, experience a gross universe. This is called the first aspect of the self. In sleep, we have dreams. That is called the subtle aspect, the second aspect of the self, sukshma, Subtle universe. Why subtle? Because it's all happening in the mind, dreams. And the third one is called the causal aspect. The third aspect of the self, deep sleep aspect, is called the causal aspect. Karanatma. I will not go into that. So, sthula sukshma karana in Sanskrit, gross, subtle, and causal. Right now also you can experience it. Right now when you are sitting here, when you look at the physical body, this is the gross aspect, first aspect. Physical body and the physical universe. When we look inside, a world of thoughts, emotions, ideas, feelings, perceptions, the ego, the memory, all of that inside right now, that's the subtle aspect of the self. If you push further back, try to see suppose you dismiss the physical world intellectually, you dismiss the subtle world intellectually, you'll end up with a blankness. Try it now, you'll end up with a blankness. That blankness indicates the causal aspect of the self. So 3 aspects, causal, subtle, and gross aspects of the self. And this is what we know as ourselves. This is our entire universe. All that the Upanishad wants to point out, this is not what the Upanishad is teaching. Upanishad has not even begun teaching yet. All that the Upanishad wants to point out is these 3 are appearing, are experienced, and are disappearing in one unchanging awareness. That one unchanging awareness, the Upanishad calls the fourth, and it insists that's what we really are. This is so, supposing that's true. Notice that fourth, that one unchanging awareness is free of all the problems of the waking world. They appear in it and they disappear in it. You, the Turiya, the fourth, you are not stuck to the waking world because it comes and goes in you. You are not fixed here. You are not stuck here. Our common sense view of the world is, this is who I am. What's dream? Dream is nothing. I just fall asleep and like watching a TV, I just replay my waking memories. That's dream. What's deep sleep? Nothing. I'm just sort of unconscious. That's the way we look at waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. What the Upanishad says is, take a more logical look. Take a more what is called a phenomenological look. That you look at how it appears to you in your day-to-day life. You experience it all in one consciousness. All the problems of the waking world do not stick to you, the one consciousness. Just as the nightmares of the dream are dismissed the moment you wake up. So they do not stick to the waking self. In the same way, the problems of the waking world also do not stick to you, the pure consciousness. That one pure consciousness, that Turiyam, is the witness of the coming and going of the 3 states, is eternally free of the problems. Look, death. Death is a problem of what aspect of the self? The first aspect, the physical body. It's the physical body which is born, and it's the physical body which dies. That consciousness which notes the birth of the physical body, the gradual development of the body into a baby, a child, a teenager, a young person, and the maturation into middle age, and the eventual decay and sliding into old age, that consciousness is not a baby or a teenager or a young person or an old person, not a dead person. It is the one consciousness which sees this drama unfolding in it. It is free of death and old age and disease, that one consciousness. It is the witness of that. We have a veteran devotee in the New York Center, Bill. He is 95 years old now, and he's been there since 1955. And still going strong. And he said, Swami, my memory is not what it used to be earlier, and I feel bad about it. At 95, his memory is slightly giving me a little bit. He's very sharp. He reads all day long, and he continuously sends me articles on New York Times. And he has taken to the new technology, the smartphone, very well. My memory is not what it used to be. I said, Bill, you noted the memory when you experienced the memory when it was sharp. Right? You remembered, you could recall. And now you watch the memory failing. Yes, it's not as sharp, as keen as it used to be. It's failing. You are the one who notices that. You are not affected by the sharp memory or the failure of the memory. You're the witness of both. You are not affected by either. And you should see the smile on his face. And you're right, Swami, you're right. It's all right. It's all right. As the body ages, the brain also ages, and the subtle body, the memory and the intellect also tend to slow down. It's like the computer and the hardware and the software. As your laptop becomes older and older, the same software runs more slowly there. And it crashes more often. But it's all right. Why is it all right? Because you are neither the laptop nor the software. You are separate from it. You are the one who experiences it. This body is exactly like that. We have had many such bodies earlier, and we will have, unless you get enlightenment, many more laptops to come. This one consciousness, the fourth, it is neither the waker, nor the deep sleeper, nor the dreamer. It is the consciousness in which these three come and go, and the Upanishad says it is not something that you can see or hear or smell or touch. It is not something that you can grasp with your physical, with your motor organs. You can't go and hold that consciousness. Obviously not. But it wants to make it clear. It is not that something that enters into transactions, into dealings with the world. All transactions in the world are possible because of that one consciousness. But it itself does not enter into any transactions in the world. Avyavaharyam. In that one consciousness, there is no universe. The waker's universe, the dream universe, and the deep sleep darkness, they appear and disappear into it, but in itself is not phenomenal, to use a philosophical word. It transcends the three universes. What three universes? Wakers, dreamers, and the potential universe of the deep sleep. All three universes, they appear in it and they disappear in it, but it itself transcends the universe. Prapanchopashamam. It is free of all trouble, all misery forever. Shantam. Even now. So somebody's in a third stage of the deep sleep. That's all right. Peaceful soul. Maybe that's why they call it sound sleep. It makes sense. Yes. Shantam. It is forever free of all suffering. Remember, it's not something that I have to attain that fourth and then I'll be free of suffering. No, that fourth, the real self, that is already free of suffering, always has been. It's just that we don't identify ourselves with it. We are not aware of it. The waker is not free of suffering. We have so many problems here. The dreamer also has suffering, has nightmares. And the deep sleeper will say there's no suffering in deep sleep. There's no suffering in deep sleep, but you have to wake up. You have to wake up. So the seed of suffering, Gaudapada calls it the Bijavastha. That's there in deep sleep. So this fourth, already available to us, our real nature, is eternally free of suffering. Shantam. It is bliss itself. Shivam. It is non-dual. Advaitam. How is it non-dual? Because all the plurality of the universe, all of this which you see, is actually not different from that one consciousness. It is not a second reality apart from that one consciousness. Not second, in Sanskrit, Advaitam. Second means Dvaitam. Not second, Advaitam. Nothing in this universe which you experience is apart from that one consciousness. One good way of understanding this is, you see so many people in dreams. You go to different places and different events happen. But when you wake up, what do you note? We don't note it, but it's always there. What happens? We realize that all the people I saw, they were not different from me. There was no real second person in the dream. Are you with me? In my dreams, there is no real second person, though there seems to be so many people there. They are all me. I project myself in all those people. There is no other place there. All the space in the dream is me. There is no other time, no events apart from me, the dreamer. So from the point of view of the dreamer, every entity in the dream is not a second. The dreamer, with respect to the dream, is Advaitam, non-dual. Exactly like that, The consciousness in which the waking world is experienced is non-dual, which means everything that you experience in this universe is you. It's not different from you. Advaitam. So this is the fourth. Okay. So now what next? Sa Atma. It's you. The Upanishad says, it is I. What next? Savigneya. This has to be realized. It has to become a living reality, not just something which we listen and we read in an Upanishad. How do you do that? And the Upanishad says, Om. Here comes the technique. We need a support, in Sanskrit, alambana, a support to help us understand and realize this. Actually make it a living reality. How do you do that? Here is the technique. In the time remaining to me, I'll share the technique here. How does Om help us in realizing this fourth, the pure consciousness, my real nature, Turiya? Do you remember, the Upanishad said the self has four aspects. By now you must have all memorized it. The waker, the dreamer, and the deep sleeper, and the real self, the fourth. The one which appears as waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. So four. Now the Upanishad says, Om, this sound, this mantra, has four letters in it, or four sounds in it. Look carefully. In Sanskrit grammar, if you look at Om, it's actually comprised of three letters. We write it as A-U-M, but it's actually not A-U-M. That's the closest we can get to in English. In Sanskrit, it is A, U, and Ma. And if you put it together, in English we say A, U, and M. If you put it together, it becomes Om. It's not Aum. Sometimes a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. When I thought Om is Om, I was right. Now the Swami told me actually Om is A-U-M. Now I know that Om is Aum. It's not Aum. I actually saw somebody chanting Aum. That's wrong. In Sanskrit grammar, when you have A and U together, by the rules of Sandhi, it becomes O. So actually, when you write O and M in English, it's pretty close to the original Om. The correct pronunciation is Om. But in the O, two things are there, A and U. So actually there are three letters, A, U, M. And after that, after the Ma fades away into silence, Om. This silence is the fourth. So fourth, A, U, Ma, and the fourth. The fourth is the silence. Now you will say, wait a minute, didn't you say I, the self, I have four aspects? Yes. And Om has four letters or four aspects? Yes. Can I match? Upanishad says, yes, that is the way. What is the way to the realization? You must map the four aspects of Om with the four aspects of the self. Pada, matra, matrascha pada. That's what the Upanishad says. The four letters, actually three letters and silence. And the four aspects of the self. Map them. How? Now this is an association, an exercise we must do. All your waking experiences, this for example, and you the waker, all of it together, associate the sound in your mind. The first letter of Om. Associate it. Associate it means name it in your mind. All my waking world, the person I am in the waking world, all of this is called Then I have a dream experience. So many dreams. And I am a person in the dream also. The person in the dream and the dream experience itself, all the dreams, all of them taken together, name it U. And the deep sleep, absolute quiet and darkness, no movement. That deep sleep experience, name it Ma, or Ma. So Om stands for the totality of our experience. All our waking experience, all our dream experiences, and all the deep sleep that we have got. The gross world, the subtle world, and the causal world. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Prapancha. All of it together is expressed by Om. And the Upanishad says, the last one, the silence which Om merges into, let that silence stand for the pure consciousness, the Turiya, the real you. So the real you, the real I, the pure consciousness, which appears as a waker and the waking world, which appears as a dreamer and the dream world, which appears as the deep sleeper in the deep sleep darkness, that pure consciousness is expressed by or symbolized by silence at the end of Om. Silence at the end of Om. Now when you chant Om, you do it this way. In the low Om you can chant, or even in your mind you can chant it. Don't do it too loudly, disturb the neighbors. When you chant it, first of all, associate the with the waking world. Now don't chant just don't go no. Always chant Om, but with an emphasis on the when you're thinking about the waking world. The next chant Om with emphasis on the U, thinking about the dream world. The next chant Om with a stress on the ending, thinking about the whole, all of your life merged into the darkness of deep sleep. And then, as it fades away into silence, note that you are the awareness in which all these experiences, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, they come and go in you, the awareness. That's the simple exercise. What it will do is, it will enable us to step back from this waking person. It will enable us to step back from this dreamer in the deep sleep, in sleep, and the deep sleeper, and we'll begin to get a feel for the one consciousness in which all three are appearing and disappearing. The last mantra of the Upanishad, it mentions this. Amatrash chaturthaha. The silence is the fourth. Avyavaharyaha. It is beyond all transaction. It stands for that consciousness which is beyond all transaction. But it also stands for silence. Speech is used for transaction, for talking. But in silence there is no transaction. Avyavaharyaha. Prapanchopashamaha. The silence of all speech when it falls silent. And the universe which does not exist in that pure consciousness. So prapanchopashama, it literally means the cessation of the universe. What universe? What is universe according to Mandukya? You should be able to say now. Universe according to Mandukya is all that we experience in waking, all that we experience in dreams, and all that is merged into the deep sleep. That is the universe, what we experience in our lives. So that is Prapanchopashama, the silent, the cessation of the universe. Shiva, it is bliss itself. It is bliss itself. There is no suffering there. It is Ananda. It is the source of all experiences. Advaita, that silence is non-dual. Because it does not refer to the absence of noise. See, the silence at the end of Om, it refers to the one consciousness which is the witness of that silence. Let's dwell on this a little while. Could you raise the blissful soul? Yes. You see, waker, this consciousness in association with the body and mind and experiencing this world is called the waker, what you are now. And when you fall asleep, that very consciousness in association with the projections of the mind is called the dreamer. When the mind stops functioning, that consciousness in association with the non-functioning mind is called the deep sleeper. But that consciousness in itself is the witness consciousness, is the Turiya, is what that unlimited consciousness. So that consciousness is the witness of the silence after Om. If you do it properly, then when you are doing at the beginning of Om, you are identified with the waker. Then you are identified with the dreamer. You are identified with the deep sleeper. All in the waking state. Don't fall asleep. This is an exercise we are doing in the waking state. And at the end of it, when there is silence, you are just the consciousness. So that is the way to understand. Note that this consciousness is there all throughout. It's there in the waking. It's there in the dreaming. It's there in the deep sleep. It is one and unchanged. So it is the witness consciousness of the silence. When you say silence after Om, that silence does not mean just the absence of noise. It means the consciousness which is the witness of the silence. I'll repeat that again. This is the essential thing about the technique of Om. We are interested not in the or the U or the We are interested in the silence at the end of U and And the silence is not the absence of noise. This is the absence of noise. And you, the experiencer of the absence of noise, you are the consciousness. So the silence refers to the consciousness. So that consciousness underlies the waker, the U, the dreamer, and the deep sleeper. And that consciousness is what we are interested in. So when you chant that Om, slowly we begin to get an understanding, a grasp of that consciousness. One more point. I've been saving the most difficult one for the end, but it must be said. Otherwise, the secret of Om will not be revealed. It goes like this. For this, we must briefly make a foray into the philosophy of language. The waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper are the three aspects of the self, and the consciousness beyond that is the fourth aspect of the self. That's on one side. But when you speak about Om, Ma, you are naming these aspects, giving them names. Now, the universe is composed of objects, things, chairs and tables and buildings and people and plants and animals and tiny things like quarks and photons and massive things like quasars and galaxies. They are objects, and they all have corresponding names, labels which we give them in language. So words are used to name objects. Words refer to objects. Now, take an example. A classic example which I often use is gold and ornament. The same gold is made into a bangle. It is now then melted and made into a ring. It is melted and made into a necklace. Now, bangle, ring, and necklace are three words. Follow me carefully. Bangle, ring, and necklace are three words. What do they refer to? The three ornaments, the bangle, and the ring, and the necklace. But now somebody comes along, a Vedantic jeweler maybe, and tells you, actually they are all the same thing. There is no such thing as a bangle or a ring or a necklace. It's all gold. If you investigate the bangle, you will find it's through and through gold. Outside, inside, all of it, what you are holding, what you are weighing, that is gold itself. Then what is a bangle? It's a name. It's a form. And it's a particular use. You put it here. But the same gold, the gold is the only reality there. How do you know? Because if you take away the gold, the bangle won't exist. Are you with me? If you take the gold away, will the bangle exist? It won't exist. Not only that, the same gold, the bangle is melted back and again made into a ring. Now the ring is nothing but gold. It's just a new name, a new form, and a new use. You put it here. But the gold is the same. It's still the same reality. Then it is melted and made into a necklace. A necklace is a new name, necklace. It's a new form here and is used here. Name, form, and use. Nama, Rupa, Vyavahara in Sanskrit. These have changed, but the same. Do you follow me? The substance is exactly the same. In exactly the same way, it is one consciousness which appears as you, the waker, with this waking body experiencing the waking world. It is the same consciousness which appears as you, the dreamer, in your dream world experiencing a dream world. It is the same consciousness which is there in the deep sleep. The one substance throughout, the one reality throughout is that consciousness which is called the fourth. As the one reality through all these ornaments is the gold itself. Now it gets difficult. There is no such real thing called a bangle or a necklace or a ring. Why? Because if I show you a gold bangle and ask you, show me the bangle, whatever you touch will be the gold. I'll say, let me keep the gold, show me the bangle. You cannot. Because the bangle is not a real thing apart from the gold. It is the gold in a particular form we are calling a bangle. So there is no such thing apart from the gold which is called a bangle. If there is no, follow this carefully, if there is no such real thing apart from gold called a bangle, then what does the word bangle refer to? I'm asking you a question. What does the word bangle refer to? The word paper refers to this. What does the word bangle refer to? Nothing. You will say, no, that particular form and the name, the form is what it refers to. But the form does not exist without the gold. If you take the gold away, the form will not. Do you think a shadowy bangle will be there, hanging in this ghostly bangle? No. It will disappear. There is no form without the substance, without the reality. When you take the gold away, the bangle doesn't exist anymore. Then what does the word bangle refer to? Nothing. This is called padartha nisheda. The object is negated. There is no reality called the bangle apart from the gold. As there is no reality called the bangle apart from the gold, the word bangle does not refer to anything. What will happen when the word bangle does not refer to anything real? Then it fades away into silence. Exactly like that, everything in this universe is not apart from that one consciousness. It alone appears as you, the waker, and your universe. In that case, just like the gold and the bangle, nothing in this universe is apart from you, the consciousness. Then what do these names refer to? Paper, table, man, woman. They don't refer to anything. The name which we gave to this entire universe, do you remember what was the name? What does the refer to? Nothing. It falls into silence. Exactly like that, in the dream universe, everything in the dream universe is not apart from the witnessing consciousness. Just like the necklace is not apart from the gold. So, the name which we gave to the dream universe, what was that? It does not refer to anything real. It falls into silence. In the deep sleep universe, likewise, the does not refer to anything real apart from that consciousness. It disappears into silence. This is called pada nisheda. Pada means word. Negation of the object, negation of the word. Negation of the object means none of the objects in waking, dreaming, and deep sleep are real apart from their ground consciousness. Just as the ornaments are not real apart from gold. As and disappear into silence, what is left is only silence. And that silence, we know, refers to the consciousness. That silence at the end of Om refers to the reality which is consciousness. Just as the words bangle, necklace, and ring have no object apart from the gold. So the gold is the only name which is real because the gold is the only object which is real. In the same way, the silence refers to the Turiyam, the pure consciousness. Hence, Om fades away into silence. Ma are appearances, and the silence alone is real. Waking, dreaming, and deep sleep worlds are appearances, and the consciousness in which they appear, that alone is real. Or we say in Vedanta, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is real, the world is an appearance. And Jiva Brahmevanapara. You, the sentient being, are none other than Brahman. This is what is expressed by Mandukya Upanishad in this this format of waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the underlying consciousness, the fourth. The first three are appearances. Ma. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep are appearances. The fourth alone is real. Shankaracharya, in his invocatory verse to the Mandukya Upanishad, he uses a beautiful phrase. He says, Maya Sankhya Turiyam. It is a fourth only through Maya. Actually, the fourth is the only reality. It's the one reality. It's only when you count waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, then the reality becomes the fourth. Actually, waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper are not real in themselves. It is the one which is appearing as the three. Counting in Maya, the real self becomes the fourth. That's why it's called Turiya. In reality, it is the one non-dual reality. So this is how Om, when we chant Om, waker and waker's universe, dreamer and dream universe, deep sleeper and deep sleep universe, they all are manifestations of one underlying consciousness. The Ma, and the silence at the end of Ma. One last addendum. The difficult part is over. The last addendum is this. This also I should mention, otherwise I will fail in my duty. Om is considered to be the name of God. Tasya Vachaka Pranava. The Mandukya Upanishad, the approach in the Mandukya Upanishad is, suppose I do not get this is a little difficult for me. Then can I still use Om? Yes, you can. What you can do is, instead of going into all that waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, witness consciousness behind that, Ma, silence and all of that, what you do is, take Om as the symbol of the Absolute. And what is the Absolute? You alone are the Absolute. Take it as the symbol, just as we take a Shiva Linga as the symbol of Shiva and we worship the Shiva Linga. It's only a symbol. In the same way, the sound Om, instead of an image, instead of a picture, instead of an image or an icon, you take the sound Om as the symbol of the Absolute, which you are. And now when you chant Om, when you are worshipping or adoring Om, you are actually referring to the Absolute. Without going through all that philosophical tangle of trying to understand what Om refers to, you can use it as, the technical term is as an upasana, as a way of referring to the Absolute. I'll just mention this, there will be a Q&A session. How does Om become the name of God? God in Vedanta is consciousness associated with the total. What do I mean by that? Consciousness associated with this person is called Sarvapriyananda. Consciousness associated with that person is John. Consciousness associated with that body and mind is Ram, and so on. But consciousness associated with the entire universe, that is what Vedanta calls Ishvara or Saguna Brahman. Now note, what does refer to? Consciousness associated with the entire physical universe. What does refer to? Consciousness associated with the entire subtle universe. What does refer to? Consciousness associated with the entire causal universe. Now these terms, cumbersome. There are specific technical terms in Vedanta for these three. Consciousness associated with the physical universe here is called Virat or Vaishvanara in Vedanta. Consciousness associated with the subtle universe is called cosmic mind, Hiranyagarbha in Vedanta. Consciousness associated with the causal universe is called Ishvara in Vedanta. So, these are the three names of God. God in the gross or physical sense, Virat. God in the subtle sense, cosmic mind, Hiranyagarbha. God in the causal sense, Ishvara. So, Om, Ma also stands for Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. Om is the name, literally the name of God. So it's a magnificent paradigm which the Mandukya Upanishad paints and presents before us. It is the reality about ourselves. In the word Om is compressed the entire meaning of Vedanta. I am sure you have many questions and which we shall deal with slowly. afterwards in the Q&A session. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you.